The rain battered the cracked pavement of New York City, each drop a cold reminder of the world's indifference. Ethan Caldwell, disguised in tattered clothes and a worn-out cap, crouched against a graffiti-stained wall, his heart pounding not from the chill but from the weight of what he was about to do. As the billionaire CEO of Caldwell Enterprises, he'd built an empire from nothing, but at 38, his personal life was a barren wasteland. Tired of gold diggers and shallow connections, he'd hatched a desperate plan: pose as a homeless beggar to test the women he'd been set up with on blind dates. Today was the first test, and as he clutched a cardboard sign reading "Anything helps," he wondered if anyone would see past the grime to the man beneath. Ethan's journey to this moment had been long and lonely. Raised in foster care, he'd clawed his way to success, but wealth couldn't fill the void of genuine connection. His friends, worried about his isolation, had arranged a series of blind dates through an elite matchmaking service. But Ethan, jaded by past betrayals, refused to trust easily. He'd seen too many women dazzled by his status, not his soul. So, he decided to strip away the CEO persona and see who would show him kindness when he appeared to have nothing. The plan was simple: he'd approach each date as a beggar, asking for help. If they showed compassion, he'd reveal his identity and see where it led. If not, he'd walk away, heart-hardened but wiser. The first date, a glamorous influencer named Vanessa, arrived at the upscale cafe across the street. Ethan shuffled toward her, his stomach twisting with nerves. "Spare some change, miss," he mumbled, keeping his head low. Vanessa's lip curled as she stepped back, her designer heels clicking. "Get a job," she snapped, brushing past him like he was trash. Ethan's heart sank, but he wasn't surprised. The second date, a corporate lawyer named Rachel, wasn't much better. She tossed him a quarter with a pitying glance, muttering about "filthy streets" before hurrying inside. Each rejection stung, reinforcing his fear that no one would ever see him for who he truly was. By the fifth date, Ethan was ready to abandon the experiment. The cold had seeped into his bones, and the weight of repeated dismissals crushed his hope. He was about to leave when he spotted a young woman approaching the cafe, her plain coat and sensible shoes a stark contrast to the polished women before her. Her name was Lily, an intern at his own company, though they'd never met. She was the wild card, added to the list by a friend who insisted she was different. Ethan steeled himself and hobbled toward her, his voice hoarse. "Got any spare change, miss? Just tryin' to eat." Lily stopped, her brown eyes soft but searching. Instead of recoiling, she crouched to his level, ignoring the rain soaking her coat. "I don't have much cash," she said gently, "but there's a diner nearby. I'll buy you a meal if you're hungry." Ethan froze, stunned by her sincerity. He mumbled a yes, and soon they were seated in a cozy diner, the smell of coffee and bacon wrapping around them like a warm blanket. Lily didn't ask probing questions or judge him. She just listened as he spun a vague story about hard times, her empathy unwavering. Over burgers and fries, Ethan learned about Lily's life. She was 24, fresh out of college, working grueling hours as an intern to support her younger brother, who was battling leukemia. Her salary barely covered rent, yet she'd spent her last $20 to feed a stranger. Guilt gnawed at Ethan. He wanted to tell her the truth, but fear held him back. What if she changed when she learned who he was? Instead, he thanked her, promising to repay her kindness, and slipped away when she went to the restroom, leaving enough cash to cover the meal and a generous tip. Back in his penthouse, Ethan couldn't shake Lily's face from his mind. Her selflessness haunted him, a beacon in the darkness of his cynicism. He launched a quiet investigation into her life, learning about her struggles, mounting medical bills, a landlord threatening eviction, and a boss who undervalued her. Determined to help anonymously, he arranged for her brother's treatment to be covered by a charitable grant and paid her rent for a year through a fake scholarship fund. But he couldn't stay away. He orchestrated a meeting at the office, posing as the CEO this time, to see if her kindness extended beyond pity. Lily was nervous when summoned to Ethan's office, assuming she'd made a mistake. But Ethan, dressed in a tailored suit, greeted her warmly, praising her work on a minor project. She was humble, deflecting credit to her team, and when he casually mentioned the diner, her eyes widened. You were him?" she stammered, piecing it together. Ethan nodded, bracing for anger, but Lily just laughed, a mix of disbelief and relief. "I thought you looked too clean for a beggar," she teased, her warmth disarming him. Their connection deepened over weeks. Ethan invited her to collaborate on a company charity initiative, giving them time together. Lily challenged him to think beyond profits, inspiring him to fund community programs for the homeless. But challenges arose. Gossip spread at work, with colleagues accusing Lily of sleeping her way up when Ethan promoted her to a permanent role. The rumors hurt her, and she confronted Ethan, tearfully asking if he pitied her. "I don't need handouts," she said, her pride fierce. Ethan admitted his feelings, confessing he'd been drawn to her heart from that rainy day. "You saw me when I was invisible," he said. "I'm not spoiling you out of guilt, I'm building a life with you." The biggest challenge came when Lily's brother's condition worsened, forcing her to take leave. Ethan offered to cover all expenses, but Lily resisted, fearing she'd lose her independence. It was a tense standoff, their first real fight. Ethan realized he'd been overzealous, trying to fix her life without asking what she needed. He apologized, promising to respect her boundaries, and they worked together to find a balance, Ethan funding treatment while Lily maintained her job and dignity. As months passed, their bond grew unbreakable. Ethan proposed on a quiet evening in the same diner where they'd shared that first meal, presenting a simple ring that matched Lily's unpretentious spirit. She said yes, tears in her eyes, not for the wealth he offered but for the man he'd become, kinder, more open, shaped by her compassion. At their wedding, Ethan announced a foundation in Lily's name, dedicated to helping families like hers, a testament to the woman who'd changed him. The story of Ethan and Lily spread, inspiring others to look beyond appearances and value kindness above all. For Ethan, the experiment that began in despair ended in love, proving that true wealth lies in the heart. For the millions watching their story on YouTube, it was a reminder, in a world quick to judge, a single act of compassion can change everything.